CL63 AMG is a very special car. Its long, sleek, and pillarless design is distinctive and unique, giving a wonderful openness and airiness with great visibility in its cabin. It has a smooth and solid ride with superb body control and a magnificent engine with tremendous torque, power, and smoothness. No other car drives quite like it. Driving the CL63 is a very relaxed experience. The seats are super comfortable. You can just sit back. Road noise is quite minimal, and the car has a supple suspension. It just calms you down as you drive this thing. However, while it is a very relaxing car, the key to the AMG is its dual personality. So with the ABC suspension that's on this, ABC stands for active body control. They have the ability to pressurize individual struts in this car to minimize any movement of the body, be it roll when cornering or squat or dive when accelerating or braking forcefully. And the other key in this car is this marvel of an engine that it's not overly loud and shouty and rough. In this car, both the tuning and sound of the engine, it's subtle, but you feel this, there is a beast in a tie and suit type of thing, where it's subtle, but you can tell there's a monster under the hood. And the other funny thing about the way this car sounds is that the car is very well insulated, so it sounds like all the sounds coming from the rear of the car, even the engine's in the front, because of the mufflers being in the rear. And it's not like on an AMG GT or a C63 where it's so loud. Here, it's this wonderful subtle sound. You can actually hear it a little bit here. That really nice subtle rumble. The suspension of the CL is firmer than the S-Class. It's also a little bit lower, and the AMG CLs are further stiffened, but are nowhere near harsh at all. It's still very much a grand touring suspension. And the ABC system is very good at taking up little bumps in the road and preventing any vibrations or oscillations in the chassis. There is a sport mode for the ABC suspension. There's a button right here, but it's a little bit different than the sport mode in other cars with adjustable dampers. So in cars with adjustable damping, what they do is that when you turn on sport suspension mode, it will make the damping coefficient much higher for the shocks. So when you go over bumps, it feels a lot more harsh. When you put the ABC suspension in sport mode, it operates very differently. It doesn't make the shock stiff. Instead, what it does is it makes the ABC system more proactive and work harder to stabilize the car in acceleration, braking, and cornering. So even in regular mode, the ABC suspension is always active, and so this car has very little body roll when you're cornering. But let's just try this. We stick it in sport mode here, and I'm going to take this corner here at some speed. Almost no body roll at all. And that sound, smoothness, it's wonderful the way this car reacts. So, and it's just, the seats, they hug you when you corner. They're super supportive. I'd say these are probably the nicest seats in any car I've ever sat in. They may not be as pretty as the newest AMG seats in be it the AMG GT or the newest S-Class, but I've sat actually in the latest S63s, and I think these seats are better than what are in the new S63s, despite the new S63 seats being prettier looking. These seats are soft and comfortable, but they hug you so well, and the dynamic cornering bolsters will inflate as you're taking turns proportionally to the cornering forces, so they keep you right in your spot in the seat. The steering feel in this car is also pretty unique. You can tell it's a very heavy car when you drive it. It feels solid. It's not like, so in the regular S classes, and I haven't driven a regular CL, but I assume they'd be similar to that. The steering is quite light and a little bit vague. Here, the steering actually has a really good feel to it and a good heft to it. But beyond that, you can tell it's a heavy car, but it's a very well controlled car. And so this steering feel in this car and the ride quality just feels like this graceful magic carpet feel. I don't know if that's hard to describe in words, but it just feels like you're driving a solid, substantial car, and it makes more ordinary cars just feel cheap in comparison. Just listen to that. Wasn't going on it hard there, but just the engine sings smoothly. Doesn't annoy you or annoy your people around you, but it's just smooth, wonderful sound. The transmission in this car, it works fine. They're not quite as smooth or smart as the newest generation of dual clutches or also automatics. So if you're using the pedal shifter, so I can actually put it in manual mode. So here it's in manual mode. It shifts quick enough, but there is a perceptible delay, maybe a third of a second or so, but it's enough that it doesn't feel instant the moment you pull the pedal the way it does on the newest dual clutches. So when you're accelerating, it's quicker, I think, in responding. Here it feels like maybe a quarter second delay from when I pull the pedal, but it's plenty quick, but it doesn't feel instant the way the newest transmissions do. Another thing, this engine is absurdly torquey. This guy has, I think, 665 pound-feet of torque or something like that. It has and 563 horsepower. But that torque in particular means that you don't need to downshift all that much. So the thing is, you can just leave it in third gear as the man in right now. As you put your foot down, it really shoves you back in your seat, even in third gear at city speeds. There's a comfort mode and there's a sport mode in it too. So in the sport mode, it disables the auto start stop. In comfort mode, there's auto start stop, and in comfort mode it starts in second gear, whereas in sport mode it starts in first gear. The transmission in this isn't a conventional automatic. There's no torque converter in this. Instead, it's what's called a multi-clutch, and it's mechanically similar to an automatic in that it has planetary gear sets and band clutches to engage or disengage different gears, and then there's also a wet startup clutch. So it's not a dual clutch, but it's different from, say, a single clutch automated manual too. There's no sliding gears in this. The fuel economy with this 5.5 liter turbo is also not bad at all for what it is. In city driving like this, in my own experience, I average about 15 liters per 100 kilometers, and on the highway, depending on how quick you're going, it's usually 10 to 11.5 liters per 100 kilometers. If you're driving gently, going only at say 100, 110 kilometers an hour, and not overtaking many people, then you can get under 10 liters per 100 kilometers. Whereas if you're cruising say at 125, 130, then it'll use more like 11.5 or so. In either case, that's not bad. It's actually, given how big and how heavy this car is, it doesn't bother me. It also has adaptive cruise, lane keep assist, blind spot warning, and also a night vision feature, which I can't demo here, but it has infrared headlights in addition to the regular headlights, and infrared camera built into here, and it can display an infrared view of what's ahead of you on screen. And also it will use, if it spots any pedestrians ahead, it will take one of the headlights and point it at the pedestrian and then flash it at the pedestrian it spots. So you can spot the pedestrian more easily since it's being highlighted with a flashing light, and the pedestrian will know that you're coming. Wonderful there, and you see it's shifted nice and smooth. It's not bad at all, this transmission. Let's see, very good flat cornering of this car. It's doing a wonderful job of soaking up the bumps while cornering so well. This handles much better than cars with air suspensions that are this smooth. So the ABC suspension, particularly in the older generations, they were expensive to maintain, but the ride quality is special on these. So for me, it's worth it. In my own ownership, this ABC suspension hasn't really given me issues. The only thing I've ever done to it, the ABC on this, was replace the pulsation damper near the pump. That wasn't overly expensive in the scheme of things here. The other thing that you should do on an ABC car is just periodically flush the fluid, as the fluid, even though there's no official service interval for the fluid does degrade with age. So if you change it out every, say, 5 years or 60 to 80,000 kilometers, that will extend the life of your hydraulic system. Also watch out for accumulator spheres. There's one for every corner. Those can again go out with age, so if you replace those either preemptively or replace them right away when they go bad, that will prevent pressure shocks in the system from causing other lines to burst or other damage to the system. So in short, the key to keeping an ABC suspension is being proactive with maintenance. If you fix the little things that can go wrong and change the fluid periodically, then the bigger things won't go bad with it.
With its large size, the CL63 is more practical than most coupes. The trunk is quite spacious, and even with the front seats positioned suitable for me, I, at 6 feet tall, can fit reasonably well in the rear seats. You can see right here, I'll be getting into the back and pulling the front seat back, and while it may not be the most legroom, I may not want to go on a road trip sitting in the back seat, I can fit just fine in there.
The hydraulic suspension allows changing the ride height. All the tactile controls are of the highest quality. You have a nice damped cover for the CD changer and SD card slot, a damped cup holder. The cup holders can also be removed to make more storage space, and a damped spot for the cigarette lighter and a cigarette ashtray. You also have some button here to control the infotainment system, and so switching between comfort, sport, and manual mode for the transmission, raise and lower rear headrests, rear sunshade, and also on-off for infotainment, volume control, and the programmable special action key for the infotainment. The Harman Kardon sound system can deliver some excellent audio quality. By default, I think its bass is a little bit too low, but you can crank up the bass and the equalizer settings in here, and it stays crisp even at high volumes. A very balanced and clear system. Take a listen. It fills the whole cabin and sounds very clear and very good. The navigation system's a little outdated. They've stopped making maps for it, but it still works well enough. Voice commands work. It doesn't lag much. Can't complain too much about it. It was alright for a 2011 system. You've also got your audio controls in here. You can play audio from the SD card, AUX input, iPod input, USB, and radio, of course, as well. And there's also Bluetooth phone connectivity here. You can make calls with this, but unfortunately, out of the box, it doesn't support A2DP audio. The soft Napa leather seats are very deep and supportive, with inflatable side bolsters. The seats on these cars are really impressive. On the door panel you have the basic controls for headrest, seat back, seat bottom length, and the heating and ventilation as well. But that's just the beginning of it. There's another button right here in the center console that will bring up extra seat settings. You have a ton more seat settings here in infotainment. You can adjust how the seat bottom sides, the seat back sides and hug you. You can have four-way lumbar support adjustments, shoulder, air bladder support adjustments, and in addition to that, you also have seat massage features where you can have it massage your whole body, and the dynamic seat feature allows the car to keep you in your place when you're cornering by inflating the side air bladders proportional to your cornering speed. Overall, the CL63 is just a great car to drive, and it always puts a smile on your face.